When the world discovered that director James Cameron was building a 775-foot replica of the Titanic for the 1997 film, everyone knew the film would either be a massive success or a monumental failure. Just how much of a success would eventually floor naysayers and supporters alike when the film became the first ever to gross $1 billion worldwide less than 4 months after being released. Since then, 52 films have joined Titanic on the billion list, including 10 animated features. I'm Mike with List 25, and here are your top 25 highest grossing movies of all time, from the lowest to the undisputed box office king. But before we begin, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell. It really helps out the channel. Also, I just want to quickly state that these rankings and numbers are all accurate at the time of this filming, so if you're watching this in the future, yeah, it's probably going to be different. I'm looking at you commenters telling me it's not that anymore. It is now. I promise. We do research. With that being said, let's go. #25. Captain America: Civil War. The Russo brothers' Civil War is ranked 25th on our list, and is arguably one of the best films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. To label Captain America: Civil War as part of the Captain America trilogy is, well, almost unfair. While it is clearly that, it functions more or less as Avengers 2.5. Additionally, it introduced Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther and Tom Holland's Spider-Man, a timely and very effective introduction. Civil War became the highest earning film of 2016, grossing a whopping $1.15 billion worldwide. That includes a domestic haul of $408 million. #24. Minions. After 2 blockbuster Despicable Me films, the time finally arrived to tell the story of Gru's eccentric, lovable yellow sidekicks. It was a genius move. The Minions, the breakthrough stars of the Despicable Me films, were given their own movie in 2015, and big money was earned. Minions scored the biggest opening weekend ever for Illumination Entertainment, grossing over $500 million at the international box office. It went on to earn an additional $336 million domestically and $823.3 million from international audiences, and made just under $1.16 billion in total. #23. Iron Man 3. Despite being a stronger film than Spider-Man: Far From Home, Iron Man 3 had a similar knock-on effect. It was the first MCU film to follow the Avengers, the franchise's most successful entry at the time, and its trailers portrayed a traumatized Tony Stark coping with the events of the alien attack. While its box office success speaks for itself, the adaptation of the Mandarin we meet in Iron Man 3 is usually linked with more controversy than triumph. The screenwriter probably thought it was a charming bait and switch, but fans, well, thought it was a disservice. Despite the controversy, it's one of Marvel's highest grossing films. #22. The Fate of the Furious. The Fate of the Furious, F8, Fast 8, Fast and the Furious 8, whatever you want to call it, the 8th film in the long-running franchise, was a commercial success, but it didn't do so well with the fans. After the highs of James Wan's Furious 7, Fate fell short of everyone's expectations. It was the lowest rated Fast and Furious film among reviewers since the 4th installment. It even trailed the 6th Fast and Furious movie domestically. Still, it did exceptionally well abroad, becoming the 6th film to gross $1 billion outside the US and Canada. In total, the 7th and 8th installments of this franchise cost $500 million to produce and grossed a total of $2.75 billion worldwide. #21. The Incredibles 2. The Incredibles, directed by Brad Bird, was released 4 years before the MCU, at a period when the Pixar image was as close to an assurance of commercial success and quality as the movie business had. 14 years later, in the midst of the superhero movie revolution, Bird's sequel, aptly named The Incredibles 2, more than doubled the original's grosses and became the largest grossing animated film ever in the United States, outwitting, outlasting, and outperforming the other, lesser-known Fantastic Four by leaps and bounds. It became a firm favorite of children and parents alike. #20. Beauty and the Beast. If we ignore Alice in Wonderland, which we really should, as it was a disaster, Beauty and the Beast confirmed the Disney live-action formula. Slightly modify the songs, hire pleasant, if not innocent, actors, and always, always stick to the original, even if it feels detrimental to the film. Beauty and the Beast became the first animated film in history to receive a nod for Best Picture, so a flop would have meant a minor disaster for Disney. Fortunately for the studio, it was a resounding success, establishing itself as the highest-grossing live-action musical film of all time. 19. Frozen. I have a question for you. Do you want to build a snowman? Sorry, I had to. Okay. When Frozen came out, it immediately ruled the world. A whole new world. That's another movie. For a while, it was the highest grossing animated film ever made by Disney. It won Oscars for Best Original Song, as well as Best Animated Feature, with the ultimate earworm, Let It Go, finding a permanent presence on playlists in every shopping mall and supermarket. And if you were bothered by it, you probably should have just let it go. Oh, this one's full of them. Along with its massive box office success, many critics proclaimed it the best Disney film since the studio's Renaissance era, but it outperformed itself 6 years later with the sequel. 18. Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. The Jurassic Park series had been dormant for several years when Jurassic World resurrected it in a dramatic way. The sequel, Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, was released in 2018. While critical reaction was divided, the fifth installment in the dinosaur-filled franchise grossed a whopping $1.31 billion at the international box office. The horror-tinged sequel was a mixed bag. It had a solid opening, with one of the franchise's most heartbreaking scenes to date, and displays fascinating gothic flair in its latter half, but generally slides into harebrained silliness by the end of the film. Not exactly T-Rex-rific, but nevertheless successful, with the film ranking as the series' second highest grossing film. 17. Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi, one of the more contentious episodes in the Star Wars series, don't get me started on Canto Bight or the whole phone prank scene, took the normal downturn that has struck earlier middle films in the franchise. The Empire Strikes Back was 31.9% less profitable than A New Hope, Attack of the Clones was 34.6% less profitable than Phantom Menace, and The Last Jedi was 33.8% less profitable than The Force Awakens. Many fans despised it, though despite being divisive, it was also a huge success. Episode 8 debuted with a remarkable $220 million domestic and ended with $1.33 billion. While the film's legacy is, to say the least, complicated, it was a huge financial success for Disney and Lucasfilm. 16. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. In J.K. Rowling's fantasy series, fans got to see their favorite characters, as well as the celebs who portrayed them, grow up right before their eyes. The conclusion of the voyage that began in 2001 also marked the beginning of a new Hollywood pattern of breaking final chapters in half. With $169.1 million, the second half of the Potter finale set an all-new record for an opening weekend at the time, and its $960 million foreign haul trailed only Avatar and Titanic. In total, the 8 Harry Potter films grossed $7.72 billion by the end of their magical run. 15. Black Panther. Following Chadwick Boseman's debut as T'Challa in Captain America: Civil War, the MCU gave Black Panther his feature film. The result was a triumph, with a stunning $1.348 billion earned globally. Black Panther's representation wasn't its only success. There's much to be said for Michael B. Jordan's antagonist's nuance and desires. Fantastic acting aside, it was the first Marvel film with a black director and an overwhelmingly black cast. Black Panther brought a multitude of firsts to the big screen. As such, it was fitting that it became the first superhero movie to receive a Best Picture nomination. 14. Avengers: Age of Ultron. After the success of the team's initial team-up, Joss Whedon returned to the MCU for Avengers: Age of Ultron, one of the franchise's most eagerly awaited films. Its financial success was evident in the numbers, and it was the second largest opening ever at the time. How it was received is an entirely different Marvel. While critics and fans were not dismissive of the picture, many pointed out flaws, such as the titular age lasted essentially no time at all, or how the balancing act of the characters made the film almost nonsensical. Even worse, Black Widow called herself a monster since she couldn't have children. Oh, talk about misreading a room. However, the film does feature some proper A-grade Hulk smashing. 13. Frozen 2. A sequel is unavoidable when a movie becomes not just an international sensation, but also the highest grossing film in the history of animated entertainment. Its runaway success commenced with the third highest opening weekend for an animated movie, following Pixar sequels Incredibles 2 and Finding Dory. Then it became the highest grossing film for the 5-day Thanksgiving holiday, which was even more astounding given that it only had opened the previous weekend. It became Disney's $6th billion film on its fourth weekend of release, and now has surpassed the original Frozen as the highest grossing animated movie of all time. I guess spoilers for the rest of the list, as you now know none of them are going to be animated. Spoiler-ish? 12. Top Gun: Maverick. Top Gun, Tony Scott's fighter pilot film, dominated the box office in 1986, grossing $357.3 million globally. It went on to become an internationally acclaimed cult classic. At the time, no one would have guessed that over 35 years later, its sequel would earn more than that in the United States alone, propelling it to number 7 on the domestic charts and entering the top 25 performers globally at number 13 with over $1.3 billion in revenue. Part of that was probably due to Tom Cruise reprising his role as Pete Maverick Mitchell. Still, wisely executed fan support and specially constructed state-of-the-art IMAX cameras inside cockpits for dazzling action scenes probably also played a role in delivering 2022's biggest crowd pleaser. 11. Furious 7. The Fast and the Furious franchise's largest box office hit until Furious 7 was the 6th film, which collected $789 million worldwide. So, what changed from previous entries, which were either minor hits or complete disasters? The honest explanation? Well, it's tragedy. Paul Walker, the film's co-star alongside Vin Diesel, died during production, forcing James Wan to pause filming while they figured out how to move forward. Against all odds, they pulled together one of the most emotional tributes in any blockbuster by striking a pitch-perfect balancing act between footage they already had and discrete CGI. 10. The Avengers. The Avengers, released in 2012, is number 10 on our list. The final film in the MCU's first phase grossed more than $1.5 billion globally, breaking multiple box office records. Upon its release, the megastarred film became one of the highest-grossing films in the MCU of all time and the worldwide highest-grossing film of 2012. It also became the first Marvel movie to gross $1 billion in ticket sales. The film also led to the worldwide discovery that archery is one of the world's coolest sports. I still love that Saturday Night Live. You only brought 11 arrows, and I killed 11 of them. You're welcome. It's fantastic. 9. The Lion King. Much may be said about 2019's The Lion King. It was a remake of one of the world's most beloved Disney animated films of all time, and was labeled as live action, even though it was basically animated, because everything was done with, CGI. It was met with mixed reactions, as fans found the lifelike animal creatures who love to sing to be particularly unnerving. However, The Lion King grossed an astounding $1.65 billion at the box office, becoming Disney's highest-grossing remake ever. Quite a feat if you consider that it is the highest-grossing Disney film ever, and didn't feature any superheroes or lightsabers. 8. Jurassic World. When the first Jurassic Park film graced our theaters in 1993, it became the highest-grossing film ever, and it continues to shatter records to this day. Fortunately for us, after 22 years, Steven Spielberg decided it was time to return to Isla Nublar and brought us Jurassic World. The adventure follows the debut of a brand new modern theme park on the island, presumably discarding all of the lessons we were supposed to learn during the first film and making new ones along the way. This film would always succeed and gross more than $1 billion. It was the second best reviewed film in the trilogy after its release, after Jurassic Park, and it immediately became one of the highest grossing movies ever made. 7. Spider-Man: No Way Home. One of the MCU's most recent flicks is also one of its most successful. Spider-Man: No Way Home had to backtrack after Far From Home's identity-revealing cliffhanger, but that conclusion wasn't what drew fans in. In what was probably the worst-kept surprise in cinematic history, No Way Home reunited Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's Spidey wall crawlers with their adversaries, including Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin and Alfred Molina's Doc Ock. Is it really surprising that it's Spider-Man's highest-grossing film? Yeah, I think not. 6. Avengers: Infinity War. We've officially reached the point where films cross the $2 billion milestone. Thanos' emergence has been a ticking time bomb since the oversized Titan was first revealed in the Avengers post-credits scene. Dread it, avoid it, destiny still comes, and Infinity War assembled all of our heroes for one of the most epic battles we'd ever seen. The film deserves kudos for skillfully navigating between so many personalities and settings, from Titan to Wakanda. Its legacy, though, will forever be how it left us staggering out of theaters, tears dripping from our faces, wondering how the universe could be so cruel as to show us Spider-Man's final moments in Iron Man's arms. 5. Star Wars: The Force Awakens. In recent years, George Lucas's prequel series has received some reappraisal, particularly when it comes to Obi-Wan Kenobi. By 2015, Lucasfilm was ready to take another shot at the galaxy far, far away, and The Force Awakens became the first film to be launched as part of the new trilogy. You may draw all the parallels to A New Hope you want, because The Force Awakens is as close to perfect as a Star Wars film can get. It was impossible to describe the magic in the air on opening night as John Williams' theme blared through the speakers. It definitely deserves to be at the top of the franchise's highest grossing films, and on this list's top 5. Okay, so, mic note here. I'm gonna actually politely disagree with our fantastic writer Hestie. I dislike The Force Awakens being a remake of A New Hope. I dislike JJ's mystery box approach, and I dislike that we never got to see Han, Luke, and Leia, and Chewie all together again at the same time. I didn't wait decades for the characters I love to revert back to their old selves. Han and Leia divorced and Han back to smuggling? Well, so much for character journey, but I digress. If you do feel like discussing more Star Wars and stuff with me, come to our Discord. I'll be more than happy to talk nerd stuff. I just get very passionate about Star Wars. I'm sorry. 4. Titanic. Due to Titanic's enormous cost and significant delay from the top summer blockbuster spot, its fate was widely anticipated to be a monumental catastrophe. But time has taught everyone to never bet against James Cameron. Titanic held the #1 spot in North America for 15 weeks in a row, a record that is yet to be broken and is unlikely to ever be broken. There's a reason the director dubbed himself King of the World at the 1998 Academy Awards. Well, he is. 3. Avatar: The Way of Water. The sequel to James Cameron's King of the Box Office, Avatar: The Way of Water has dominated theaters since its premiere at the end of 2022, fast becoming the 6th movie in history to break the $2 billion mark. It is a festival of eye candy, and, as with its predecessor, a film that must be watched multiple times on multiple screens. I've already seen it 3 times, and I'm gonna see it more. It's all due to the ideal combination of excitement, offline passion — social media will try to tell you that no one cares about Avatar, which is a lie — distributors abandoning multiplexes in fear of getting wrecked by Cameron, and a film that's every bit amazing as it should have been. God, it's a beautiful film. 2. Avengers: Endgame. Before I even get into the details here, ponder the jump from number 4 to number 2. At the box office, Avengers: Endgame made roughly $600 million more than Titanic, and no other film has managed to wedge itself into that space until Avatar: The Way of Water came along. It's a massive commercial feat that's difficult to completely appreciate unless you're an accountant playing with all those zeros daily. Endgame concluded the Infinity Saga and finished an 11-year adventure that kicked off with Iron Man in 2008. For some of us, that's a lifetime, and it was the ride of our lives. If you were lucky enough to sit in a theater at the moment Captain America caught Mjolnir and cried out, "Avengers Assemble," you know what it is to live. We can only hope the MCU will go back to its former glory days in the near future. Although he didn't really cry it out, he was "Avengers Assemble." I don't know how they all heard him. Everyone had earpieces. Didn't matter. Amazing scene. Oh my god. The pop when he caught Mjolnir. That's cinema. 1. Avatar. Well, the king of the box office. Whether you love it or hate it, a mediocre film will never reach revenues over and above $2.8 billion from theater exhibitions only. Watching Avatar for the first time was like finally being able to see, because I see you. And several moviegoers went to see the film again and again and again and again. From regular 3D to IMAX, we just couldn't get enough. Still can't, to be honest. Interestingly, in its theatrical run, Avengers: Endgame briefly overtook Avatar, even pushing an extended version. Nonetheless, James Cameron only needed to re-release Avatar in China and it became #1 again, firmly gluing that crown where it might just stay for another decade. Or 3. So, which of these movies is your favorite movie? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, thank you guys so much. I love you all, and I'll see you next time. It's another Avatar. Even though I say it all the time, now it's an Avatar thing. I see you.
Enjoying our lists? Be sure to click that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. share them with your friends, and help us consistently conciliate curiosity. And if you want even more lists, check out these videos here, or just head to our website at list25.com.